Hello, everyone, and welcome to the post-screening discussion of the film Writing with Fire. My name is Javier Luque, and I'm the head of digital communications at the International Press Institute. And here with me, I would like to welcome, first of all, our guest tonight, who's Priya Thuvassery. Hopefully, I pronounced it correctly. She's director of at Chambal Media, the digital media enterprise that runs and manages Khabar Lahariya. Welcome, Priya. How are you?
Thank you. Greetings from India to everyone who is watching this. My name is Priya Thuvassery.
Thank you very much. So first of all, why we're hosting, why IPI is the International Press Institute is hosting this post-screening discussion is because Khabar Lahariya is a media organization that it's member of the International Press Institute. We are a global network of media organizations and journalists, and but first of all, I would like to start this conversation by understanding why you created, why Khabar Lahariya exists, why they created it.
Khabar Lahariya was formed 2 decades back as part of a non-profit organization's training program, which trained Dalit or marginalized women in the central of India, which is the Bundelkhand area, which is a part of Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh, which are the largest states in India. And they're also infamous for being, very dark points where media even hardly reaches. So, as part of this training program, they decided to train women to be journalists. So they started with a handwritten newspaper in their own local language, which is Bundeli, and women started writing and started distributing to local people, etc. It started as an experimental form, I would say that, but soon the demand and the need was so much because otherwise the media was always speaking in Hindi or English, and this local language was something, and local issues when they see saw their name, the name of their villages, like people they could recognize or are familiar in these handwritten hand sketch newspapers, there's like a feeling of oneness, right? And soon it became a printed newspaper, it became a weekly, and in 2015 the founders decided that that let us meet the change, or it's the changing time, let's adapt to what is happening, and we wanted to grow, we wanted to reach to more people, and that's when we decided to switch to digital. So we became a YouTube page, then it expanded to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and a website. So yeah, the women continued what they were doing. Only the form changed. Even today, when you go back to the ground, they are like you are the newspaper. The identity remains like that connection is still there. But yeah, the switch had to happen to reach more people. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
how. And now we are Chambal Media. We are a bigger
Mhm.
organization. We just
Mhm.
don't do news. We also produce documentaries. We make animation, podcast, research. We host events. So whatever we wanted in Khabal area, we are now doing it in different forms. The soul or the
Mhm.
code remains the same, but it's in a bigger and different shape. Yeah,
Mhm.
form.
Well, it's as the movie shows. It's important also to understand that Khabar Lahariya, it's an India. It's the only India woman-led media organization. So this is very important, but also because it was initiated also by Dalits, who is the so-called untouchable caste in India, right? And I think that talking specifically about the movie, this is something that the documentary film really portrays really well. It's like portrays these women journalists standing, in front of crowds of men, being cops, being like victims of like even the fathers of the victims of rape, etc. Police officers and political and religious rallies, right?
Yeah.
And doing like very gentle questions,
Hmm.
but still very firm, gentle but firm questions, right? With a very strong journalistic principles. right?
True.
First of all, let me ask you, how are the protagonists? How is Suneta? How is Meera? How is Shamkali? Just tell us about them a little bit, please.
A lot of things changed even post the film, and like change is the only constant thing in life, right? That's exactly what happened with all three of them. They are doing really good. Meera is currently our editor. She's just back from IDFA now with all the screenings and everything, so quite there. And she's also leading expansion of Khabar Lahariya to new states as an editor. So we are expanding to more districts in Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. We are also planning to go to new states, which is Bihar and Chhattisgarh. So she's leading that. Shamkali is doing good. She is more interested in photography these days. She also did some, like we started something called Chambal Academy, which is on an online platform for more women to learn mobile journalism. We started with mobile journalism. We'll be having more courses where rural women get an opportunity to learn and be part of the digital world. So she did a crash course there also to brush up her. She's still having issues with certain technology, etc. So I think she made use of the crash course. And Sunita is doing good. She is actually a mentor and a coordinator at our Chambal Academy. So from reporting, she switched into more of a mentor role right now. She's now in Delhi. She in the film you saw she got married, and
Mhm.
she went for a short break. But when you are into, like, once you had experienced the power of being in media, it's hard to go back. So she came back and she joined back in Chambal Academy because she's not living in Uttar Pradesh, but she just
Mhm.
wanted to get associated with our media. So she started working as a coordinator, and now she's a mom. She became a mother this week. So she's going for a short break, but she was like, even before leaving for break, she's like, I'm going to come back. People are missing me on YouTube, so I'm going to come back. So yeah, good things are happening to the ladies.
That's really good to hear. Also because I think that the film shows in a very nice storytelling, very simple but very efficient. Beautifully edited as well.
Mhm.
How these women resist. So what I really liked about the movie is that the focus is it's not that much into the widespread sexism. How they face cronies, how they face corrupt politicians and cops and so on, but how they resist to all that, right?
Yeah,
Even to sexism, including in their own families, right? So,
yeah.
where do you think that not only the protagonist, but also the rest of the staff, at Khabar Lahariya, draw the strength, to continue, doing their work in the face of all these challenges?
Yeah, it's still challenging. It's been 2 years. I would say it's still challenging because still we hear from the field that if a woman asks for a mobile phone, it's she's being taunted. Your daughter-in-law is asking for a mobile. It's not even like it's considered her asking or demanding for a mobile phone. It's considered fine or okay to own. Mobile phones are still mostly in the hands of men, and or we have like people in higher authorities telling that if mobile phones are given to girls, there is chance that they will get into relationships and they might run away. So these kind of public statements are still around. These types of societal blocks are still around. And amidst all that, it's not just using a mobile phone, using that mobile phone to record something, question something, and bring it to a bigger audience. So that is like a bigger step. So like each one of them had faced, first from family, then from society, then from state power, everything. So all those challenges were there in most of their lives. And but by now, since Cavaleria is a brand, or it's like a brand which everyone associate, or they had witnessed some kind of change in their village, let it be a hand pump being installed, or they got electricity, or someone got like a scheme for to build their house. So they started seeing change which these women brought into their village. So now when a new one want to step in and be part of this bunch of women, it's more easier. So definitely the struggle was bigger for the previous, like the senior generation, I would say. And their hardships and their struggle definitely is making the new generation's path much more simpler. Like there are girls, women looking forward and, say that I want to be like Sunita or Kavita or Meera, so yeah, there is some kind of positivity that there, but yeah, miles to go even now, that's what I feel.
Mhm, mhm. But how do they continue? I mean, where do they draw these strength? Also, because they do a very, as we said earlier, like a very principled, journalism where they don't even take bribes, they don't take the easy road, right?
Yeah.
To continue facing and so on. So where do they I know where do they get the strength? Because at some point I even like even watching the film myself, I would really like to be honest, I don't know how I would react or how I would cope with all that, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's also about the power. Like there was struggle, and they know the struggle, or they know the journey they have crossed. But after a point, then it's a power of economy, the finance power they have. They earned themselves a name. They are recognized by not just locals, but even a police officer is standing and talking to her. Or if there is a problem, women looked up to her, like that, she's a person who has the courage to talk to an official or a village panchayat head. And these were the same women who were inside their houses. And in Khabar area, it's not like we never look for a media, like if you go to any other mainstream media, it's okay, they are pass outs from media schools or film schools. That's the kind of qualification which is considered to be a journalist. But in Kaballeri, it's not that. It's the passion of the women. It's the stories they want to bring in. So we have like early school pass outs to postgraduates in our reporters thing. So it's like a different scale. Like you won't find such a journalist in mainstream media. So it's not just redefining the definition of news in mainstream media, but also redefining who is a journalist, who need to be a journalist. If you don't know a ground reality, if you don't relate to what is it not to have water, and women have to travel kilometers to get water, or if you don't know what is it to be a farmer, and you're reporting about farming or you're reporting about climate change, there's difference, right? So most of the stories these women report are the stories they have experienced. Let it be from domestic violence to a harassment to a climate change issue. This is their day to day reality. So that kind of perspective comes into the kind of news and journalism which Khabar area reporters bring in. And that definitely makes it different and unique from any mainstream news channel.
Hmm. Yeah, and how important has been, I mean, you've already pointed out earlier, but how important this has been, the digital transformation, because I think that also this is a very important element that is showcased in the movie, in the film, like this digital transformation, but also in the face
Mhm.
of this political transformation and the new political context, being able to reach a wider audience, right?
Wider audience, definitely that was a big plus. And when it comes to our audience, we were not just looking for people who can read and write. We want our audience to be majority women, girls in rural India. How do we reach that kind of audience who might be a fifth standard pass out or a fourth standard pass out? Just because they were not able to go to school, that should not be a reason that they should not get access to news. So the language, or the ability to read and write shouldn't be a reason. So switching to digital or YouTube made it easier. We are able to reach more people. And it also started with when internet became so cheaper. When the 4G came in, it was a boom in the rural India, and we were also looking forward to grow with that kind of digital development which is happening. And also that even right now, our reporters were trained in last 2 decades. We trained more than 400 to 500 reporters, and then after
Wow.
all that, Yeah, after all that training, then came this cream of the cream, which is rightly in the team. But now we want to expand that also. So during last pandemic, we were thinking, how can we reach out to more girls you who are looking forward for an opportunity to be a journalist or want to learn storytelling through using mobile phones, or even get that confidence that to get that perspective to own a mobile phone. When your younger brother has a phone but you don't have one, to question or to say that I also deserve one. So how do you teach all this to our rural women, and how do you even make like them better consumers of digital media, or how do they understand what is fake news and what is real news? So Chambal Academy was formed this year, keeping all this in shape. We want to train more women as storytellers, as more digital active digital users, consumers. So with that dream, academy happened, and in last 6 months we were able to train 270 girls across 3 states using this online platform. So these were all girls learning things for the first time online. We had to do a lot of mobilization. It was like a more hand holding need to be happening. But yeah, like now they are now the next generation of storytellers we are looking forward from rural India.
Just a couple of last questions. The first one, the impact of Khabar Lahariya in Uttar Pradesh. Also, as you were talking about these rural areas within, Uttar Pradesh, how important it is to bring the voice of these areas from people who are from there and who have experienced the same struggles that they've experienced. So, um, exactly. Here's my question. What's the impact, I mean, in the film, we've seen two, three, four, examples, but I don't know if you want to go a little bit more in depth into it.
Oh, I can share some personal experience when I started traveling with Khabar Lahariya journalist. We went to a village where we came to know that the girls are dropping out in schools, and that was the news which we came to know. But not news; it was not reported anywhere. So we started traveling, and after a point, there was no road. It was full. It was a very rural jungle type area. So the men came to pick us up on bikes, and you won't believe there were 100 people, men and women, waiting for us. Just because for the first time in their entire life they saw a media unit coming to their village to report. So what happened was when during monsoons the entire area get flooded, and the village get the roads are not connected. So the boys are taken by the fathers on their shoulders. So the boys still went to school because the fathers used to take them on their shoulders, but the girls couldn't do that, and they just drop out during monsoon. They can't go to schools. So they were so happy that a women media came to report this news story. There was another incident during this pandemic when it happened. There was a tribal community. They used to their living was they used to collect wood and they used to sell it in the towns, nearby towns, and that was their source of income. And they were not even aware that pandemic happened. And then the mode of travel was trains, and the trains stopped during pandemic lockdown, and they were not able to sell those wood. And their stories were never ever covered by any media because they were never existing in the media news landscape. And Kabaleria women went there, reported their story, and there was this video which our editor shared. So the women walked with them till the end of the village, singing songs, telling these media sisters came to, cover our news. So it was such a beautiful moment. Like I was in goosebumps when I saw that clip. And it's not that rural stories are never getting in headlines. They do, but only
Mm,
when one such big rape happen or one such big disaster happen in rural India, then the entire attention, national and international, is reaching rural landscape. But there is day to day news, there is news happening every minute like any other place. And just because it's not urban, doesn't mean that it is not having a value of a news. Yeah.
Mhm. In terms of numbers, I know that the movie shows the number of views that you've already reached the 151 million views. I'm sure that when the movie was finished, since the movie has been finished and released until now, that number of views has have increased significantly. So what's in terms of numbers? So what are the numbers? What's the impact? What's the reach?
So right now the film is traveling mostly international. It is yet to reach India. So we are looking forward for it to reach to India and see, how it is, like how people respond to that. Internationally, definitely very good response on social media pages, on Twitter and Instagram. We get like frequent tags and people reach out and people know and acknowledge that we exist. So that is definitely encouraging. For the women, it doesn't matter, for our reporters, when Sunita saw the film, I asked her like, how what did you feel? And she said, oh, it was interesting to see that this is how people look at us, or people see us from outside. For her, this is normal. It's her daily life. It is like how she worked. They have been working for years now. So she was like, okay, I watched it like if it was someone else, So, and Mira is always, she never gets so excited with happy or sad moments. So she still saw the film with that kind of thing. But yeah, she's happy that her work plus her colleagues' work is getting acknowledged internationally. So we are looking forward how India is going to take the film.
Hopefully, they will take it as well as the international audience, to be honest, because it's a beautiful film. As I said, like very simple, very well edited, but like a really good perfume. So thank you very much, Priya Tuasheri, for your time, and yeah, hopefully we'll be in touch soon again, and we'll be glad to hear the evolution, and the success of Khabar Lahariya.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you very much as well to this Human World, the film festival that has hosted, this screening, because they've been able to coordinate, to go from an in-person event to a full online, event, given the current situation of the current pandemic, the current situation of the pandemic here in Austria. So also congratulations to this Human World. Thank you very much, Priya, and take good care.
Thank you. Thank you, Xavier.